things to do, and as an adult still, one of my favourite things to do is to enjoy playing with Lego, a little bit of creativity. And of course we read this week in Shabbat Bereishit how God created the world and he created everything within it. And one of our most fundamental beliefs is that God alone created the whole world. And yet, is that really true? Because when it comes to creating human beings, the Torah actually speaks in the plural. And God does not seem to be on his own. God says, Na'aseh Adam b'tzalmenu kidmutenu. Let us make human beings in our image, in our likeness. All the commentators, from the earliest Midrashim to the more modern commentators, all ask the same question. What exactly is the Torah telling us here? We know that God created human beings, created the entire world alone on his own. Such an all-powerful being does not need somebody else to come along and help him. So what exactly is the Torah trying to teach us? Now some say it's simply an expression. It's the royal we, as it were. It's the way of kings, it's the way of queens to say, a new series of The Crown on the way. So the way of a queen to speak, we speak in the royal we, let us do this, let us do that. It's simply a figure of speech when God says, let us make man, showing that he is the king of all of the universe. Others say that he's consulting with the angels, not in the consulting sense, but showing humility, the fact that he's considering all of the other creations in the world. But there is one explanation that has always spoken to me more than any other, and that is as follows. And this brings us back to the Lego. Because one of the things that I always found when I made Lego was you could make things and it was fantastic, but then it just sat there. And there was nothing beyond that. It just sort of simply, unless you moved it, unless you did something with it, unless you added on, unless you moved the figure, nothing would happen on its own. The most exciting thing was perhaps the electronic one, the electric train set where the train went on its own, but again, unless I'm pressing the button, then it simply did not happen. And one of the most powerful things of creation is that God didn't just, particularly when it came to human beings, is that God didn't just create a world that works based on God instilling in it and some sort of current to enable it, winding it with clockwork to enable it to work on its own. But one of our fundamental beliefs is that God instilled within us the ability to create, the ability to choose, the ability to do what we want to do as well. And when God says, let us make human beings, let us create people, what God is saying is that we, human beings, are partners in our own creation. God puts us in this world as imperfect human beings. God puts us in this world with potential to do both good and bad. And after that, it's up to us to join the Almighty not just in building the world, but in creating ourselves, in making ourselves into the perfect model, the perfect image of who we can be, to bring ourselves as close to being in the image of God as is possible. And we do that through our actions, through our thoughts, through our learning, our ability to be kind, our ability to be good, our ability to do and follow our mission in life. And for me that is something that is so powerful. Na'aseh Adam, that through all this creation, through all of the tremendous and to an extent for such an all-powerful being, simple creation, just to put a world together, God allowed space. God made it possible for us to be a part of that. God made it possible for us to create our own selves, to build ourselves in the way that we choose, whether that be for good or not for good. And that is a real opportunity, a real mandate for us to be the best version of who we can be. Shabbat Shalom.